Hey, welcome to Gutter Trash, episode 173. Triumph and Torment.
I think so. Yeah.
Alright, my name is Eric.
My name is Jason.
I guess the full title is Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Because it was like... Because on the side it says Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom in Triumph and Torment.
Right.
But clearly on the front cover, Triumph and Torment is like tiny compared to the size of their names, so...
Right.
I guess you go with the whole shebang.
Yeah, well, if for some reason we need to refer to the title, from this point out, let's just call it Triumph and Torment.
Alright.
Or
D&D TNT?
It sounds like some sort of extreme gaming night.
Welcome to D&D TNT. Or like maybe like Ted Turner's channel TNT will be filming live Dungeons & Dragons games.
Right.
I'd be excited.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't. And yet, I have more respect for D&D than I do for Magic.
Oh, yeah.
I would still never ever play it in a million years, but I can get behind the people who are into that.
Yeah, they come in, they buy 3 books,
Yep.
and never see them again. Well, maybe if they have like those lead miniatures, but we never really got into that.
Dice. Yeah.
Dice,
Yeah.
maybe like a dice pouch even.
Right, yeah. I remember selling a bunch of dice when I worked at Mavericks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 20-sided die.
That reminds me.
10-sided die.
4-sided maybe.
4-sided. 6-sided.
Just sold a 6-sided dice to a 4-year-old girl yesterday. It was so cute.
Nice.
She only had 60 cents and we sold them for 75.
Right.
We just let her slide.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then that little girl went on to run a game of craps outside in the alley.
Yeah. Well, she has to earn her ecstasy somehow.
Dating.
Her parents aren't going to buy it for her. Not until she gets a job.
Right. Well, they gotta spend their money on the meth.
Right.
Right.
Oh, man. What was it? Yesterday there was a gamer guy in with his girlfriend. Oh. What was it? He was like... She was like tolerating his nerdiness, and she was like clearly like not into it, but she was like nice about it, and she was like, she was hot, and she was like clearly like maybe I don't want to say out of his league because that's
no, yeah,
but it's all
already
it's all arbitrary, but
no, out of his league. Let's do that. Okay.
Yeah, out of his league.
Yeah,
but they were looking at like Magic Commons, and what was he saying? He was like he was like looking for some specific card, and she was like trying to help him and tolerate, and he was like, "Oh, no, honey, you don't know what you're doing," or something. And I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, he doesn't know how lucky he is among his peer group.
right.
Like all of his friends that he's ever met or ever will meet, whenever he tells the story about he doesn't know why she dumped him,
right.
It'll be like those little things. Like I wish I could remember exactly what he said because it was pretty awesome.
Did he say it in that tone of voice?
He totally did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember. I can't remember precisely what he said, but
I'm sure it was awesome. But yeah. Yeah.
But she clearly like went from like tolerating him to like you could almost like see it in her eyes. Like I guess I'll dump him tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
It was horrible. I mean, she was like really nicely dressed and like just had like pretty hair and like,
right.
And he was just there in his like magic sweatpants. And it was like, dude, seriously, just try a little harder, just a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Doctor Doom, Triumph and Torment. Let's do this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is this our second or third Marvel graphic novel? I think it's
second at least.
Yeah.
I don't recall if we have done a third or not.
I think I'm thinking of I read the Star Slammers graphic novel last year, but I don't think it was for the show.
Not for the show, yeah. But we did do a Hulk thing, whatever subtitle that had.
Right.
Yeah. Return to Big Nothing.
Is that what it's called?
No.
Oh.
That's a Punisher. No.
I thought that was a Stone Temple Pilots song.
No, it's just Big Nothing.
Oh.
And also describes their career.
Oh, man. Yeah. But yeah. 1989?
1989-ish.
Something like that.
Yeah. Written by Roger Stern, drawn by Mike Mignola. Mike freaking Mignola.
Old school Mike Mignola.
Super old school Mike Mignola. Doesn't entirely look like what you would expect Mike Mignola to look like.
Right.
This is definitely early in his career. Or at least early-ish. Mid-career?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Cause I know the first time I ever remember seeing his stuff is like, Cosmic Odyssey, the DC thing.
Right. He did, like some X-Men and some Hulk, like back in the mid to early 80s.
That was before that? Okay, because I remember the Hulk stuff, like when Hulk was in outer space or something.
Right, I think so, yeah.
Okay, so that was before that.
Yeah. And again, his style was very different.
Yeah, like Rocket Raccoon.
Right.
Where it's like a real... Yeah, like when I read Rocket Raccoon, I read it after I was a fan of Hellboy.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way I would have been able to tell you that was Mike Mignola.
Right.
Like, I would have thought Chris Ware before Mike Mignola.
I have the X-Men Asgardian Wars trade paperback, and Mike Mignola drew a section of it, along with Art Adams, who also was very early in his career.
Oh, wow.
And you can tell for sure, like, the Art Adams stuff, like, it looks like Art Adams, but, like, just still a little, you can tell he's still learning and developing.
Like his proportions and whatnot.
Right, yeah. But, like, you can definitely see that Art Adams style.
Right.
I could not tell you for $100 what pages Mike Mignola drew.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, it looks like Art Adams, or?
Kinda, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure I've read those back when I was I was devouring anything Art Adams when I was an early teenager. But yeah, I probably didn't know who Mike Mignola was.
Right. So this is, the cover is, done in, I think, what people would most associate with his style.
Yeah.
But the interiors are you can see it developing.
Right.
But, like, it's still not exactly what you think of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. It's so different.
It's very wispy.
Wispy is the perfect word. I told that to somebody this week. I was talking about this book, and I was like, yeah, it's got real, like, delicate, pretty lines instead of those harsh, angular lines.
Right. And it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different than, especially with 20 years of Hellboy and, everything else. Oh, that was.
It's Wonder Woman deflecting a bullet.
Alright.
Like, I wouldn't say that I like it better than his Hellboy art, but for some reason, I think I was more excited to read it when I saw it was his old style than if it was just, like, his current art style over the story. Just because it's so different, and it's really good.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
Like it almost, I'm almost wondering why he changed his style so much, because, like, I don't think either one's necessarily better than the other. Like, as far as, like, if he would have kept going in this style and developed it a little more, like that wispier kind of thing. Like, I bet he would be just as amazing as he is now, but in a different kind of way.
I think maybe it's I think maybe it's a matter of him trying to find his own voice. Because I think with the style that's in this book, like, you can still see a lot of his influences.
Right.
Like there's definitely sort of a John Buscema, influence to it. And a little bit of the Kirby stuff.
Right.
But not a ton, especially for a book like this,
Maybe a tiny bit of Like Wrightson or
A little
something?
Wrightson, a little, I would say, W.M. Kaluta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps even some Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah, I was thinking Barry Windsor Smith too.
Yeah.
But you can definitely like there's a scene where, well, any of the stuff with Mephisto
Yeah.
is like very, like even like his first appearance, it looks like a Hellboy cover. Like,
Right, yeah.
like the design and the layout.
Yeah.
But, like there's a scene where Doctor Strange, like it's a flashback where sort of a flashback where he's remembering the first time he visited the Ancient One's tomb.
Right.
And the worshippers that are in there in those cloaks. I mean, that's right out of Hellboy. I mean, the cloaks are, like, they have these jagged lines and, like, yeah, it's like current Magnolia is, like, peppered throughout this book, but it's way different.
It's breaking through, especially once you get towards the end of it. Like, I think the beginning of the story has, well, it's weird, because, the story in this book is sort of broken up into two sections.
Yeah.
And it honestly reminds me of a Simpsons episode.
Really?
Yeah. I love The Simpsons, even though, like, I haven't watched it in, like, 5 years, maybe. Like, on a regular basis, anyway.
Right.
But, like, the one thing I've always loved about The Simpsons, like, the very first time I realized that, something occurred while I was watching an episode of The Simpsons once where it was just like, oh, people write these things. People put a lot of thought and time into figuring out how to do one of these things.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And, what it was is like, a lot of the great Simpsons episodes, like, start out usually with Homer doing something stupid.
Right.
And then there's like maybe 10 minutes of him like following through on that. And then suddenly out of nowhere, the show completely changes on a dime and it becomes about like something else for the rest of the episode.
Okay. I know exactly what you're saying. I call it the Return of the Jedi effect.
Okay.
Because that movie is two movies. You got the Jabba movie and you got the Ewoks movie.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Okay. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
I see where you're going. Yeah, because the first part is like, kind of a Secret Wars-ish thing where, like...
Yeah, a little bit.
Everybody's being, like, summoned into this one place and, like, there's this big battle and hubbub and power is given and then, yeah, then it kind of completely goes into a separate storyline.
Right.
I mean, they're connected, of course.
Right.
But it's like it's like a 2-act story.
Yeah.
Instead of a 3-act.
And, I mean, the acts, like the 3-act structure is still there, beginning, middle, end. But, like, yeah, it's just... just sort of, again, like you said, it's all connected, but it's just almost like, there's just this certain point where it's just like, oh, this is what this story is becoming.
Right, yeah.
It started out completely in one way, and now it's heading to a different direction.
Did that, like, was that jarring or anything?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not just because Mike Mignola did it. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Roger Stern fan.
What else is he? He's in like Captain America or something.
Captain America, Avengers, Spider-Man. I mean, he worked on
just
pretty
like
much all the
Marvel,
classics.
right?
Yeah.
Omaha the Cat Dancer. That was him, right?
Yeah, sure. I said all the classics.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. You covered that. Yeah. That's right. What am I doing?
Yeah. It's not that I'm not a fan of his. It's just I haven't read a ton of his stuff.
Yeah,
whatever I have read, I probably didn't even know it was him.
Exactly. Like, I'm sure I've read a dozen books by him and just been like, oh, that was a entertaining read.
Right.
Yeah. Never looked at the credits, Yeah, I really liked this, too.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was... I expected to love the art and just slog through it because of the art.
Right.
But it was really cool.
Yeah. I pretty much expected the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might feel the same way that I do, but probably not. But like, I don't know, for me, there's just sort of this idea that I have of, old school comic book storytelling.
Right.
At least, writing wise. that I was really afraid that this was going to be that.
Yeah.
You're just over dialogued, over narrated.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, I'm gonna open this door. And then, like, the next panel is him opening the door.
Right,
and he's got a thought balloon that says, there, it's open.
Yeah.
You know.
With a caption that says, as the door opens.
Yeah. And Stanley explains, like, you know, why he think, you know, like, if you remember last issue,
right.
old Webhead had trouble opening that door.
And there's some of that in this book. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, he is an old school comic writer, you know, so
Right.
that's there, but
It doesn't seem clunky. It just seems
right.
like it's just like you can really tell when this was made.
Yeah.
It'd be like when you watch like I kind of think of Pink Floyd's music as kind of timeless for some reason because they don't sound like the other bands from their era.
Right.
But if you watch videos of them and they just have the bell bottoms and they're like, you're like, oh, I know exactly when this was made. It's like that.
Right, yeah. Pretty good version.
Yeah. But yeah, it's and like maybe another thing that makes this work, even though it has those tropes or whatever, is a lot of those Silver Agey or early '80s, you know, Bronze Age, whatever you want to call them, stories. That, you know, they are like formulaic and like, you know, it's going to end and not continue into the next thing, and it's
right.
They can't really do a lot. So there's something that happens, but it usually involves zero character development.
Right.
And this really gives you a window into, I would say, both of the characters. I mean, more so
yeah.
Doctor Doom, but
yeah.
But it really fleshes out some of the personality of both of the Doctors.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've been reading comics forever, so we know that, you know, deep within the villainous Doctor Doom, there beats the heart of a nobleman.
Yeah.
But this story really, you know, lets that shine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He's sympathetic, he's noble, you know, I mean, he's still Doctor Doom,
right.
But, you know, he's
still kind of, you know, villainous in the story. I mean, like, he doesn't completely win you over, and, like, and, you know, without completely spoiling it, he does sort of, like, at the end, you know, sort of, you're like, that's the Doctor Doom I know.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great. As I was reading it, I was thinking that, I mean, I know that, it couldn't be done exactly the way this is, but, I think this would make for a great Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, you obviously couldn't have Doctor Doom in it, but you could, you know, make up, you know, some sort of generic, you know, European dictator, you know, and still build the story around it, because the story, you know, starts, you know, pretty much assuming that you know who Doctor Strange is, and then even still, like, you know, halfway through it, you get kind of an origin story, like, really quick.
Right.
You know, but, you know, and overall, though, like, the whole thing is, like, him, you know, starting from this point, he becomes another thing, and then he does this thing, and, you know, he fights the devil, you know.
Right.
I mean,
that's interesting.
You know, what better way could you do a Doctor Stranger movie, you know, other than the sloggy bullshit that an origin story would be.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, that could make a good movie, like a Doctor Strange movie. Yeah. Like with, you know, like if it's well written and they, you know, he has good lines, you know.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Like, I never would have thought I would have liked the Iron Man movie.
Right.
But I loved it. And I could see them doing something similar, like kind of tweaking Doctor Strange and making him a little. But yeah, I'd almost be pissed off if they did that without Doctor Doom after this movie.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love Doctor Doom, and this was a really, I mean, this might be the best depiction of Doctor Doom I've ever read, as far as like just like his character, you know.
Right.
Like it really made you feel for him, but he's also still badass and like.
Right.
You know, I thought that was great.
That is bold praise.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely say for sure it's better than his depiction in any of the Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could not recall if I've read any memorable Doctor Doom stories, so clearly I haven't.
Right. I mean, yeah, like, I remember reading a lot of them when I was a kid, and, like, I never really knew... I mean, you know, like, I knew he was, like, you know, not just a bad guy, like, he was in charge of this country, and, like, he was, like, a little different, but, like, I don't know that I've ever read, like, a really good origin story of him, you know, like, where you see him, you know, like, whenever he was, like, climbing through the Himalayas and, like, trying to seek the knowledge, I feel like I've seen that in a flashback, but I don't think I've ever seen a fleshed out origin story for him.
Yeah, I think the most I've ever seen is just like a quick flashback to, you know, him putting on the mask.
Right.
You know, that's still, you know, boiling hot from you know, being smelted. He is, I think, one of those characters that, you know, whenever he shows up, all the other characters are like, it's Doctor Doom, he's so evil and badass, and they're always telling you that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think this is the first time that you've ever actually been shown what exactly he is, you know.
He does sort of have this commanding presence in the Marvel Universe. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of similarities, but there are a couple where he almost seems like the Joker of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
Where, like, you know, he's the man. Like, when he shows up, everybody else is like, whoa, shit. It's Doctor Doom, you know.
He's one of those things, I think, where, like, if a new writer takes over the Fantastic Four, you know that within the year, it's going to be his big Doctor Doom story is coming.
Yeah. And, like, people have done a lot of good stuff with him. Like, I don't know if you remember, did you read the Straczynski Spider-Man run? You read those, right?
I read some of them, yeah.
Did you read number 36, the black cover one?
The World Trade Center.
Yeah. I mean, like, that was a really well-written story, and Doctor Doom was in it, and, like, he had a really good part, and it's sort of, like, I mean, it was, like, that was pretty powerful, because, you know, he was, like, you know, he came there, and he was, like, helping out, and he was like, you know, I'm not here to fight, this is something different, and, like, I mean, yeah, he can be a really great character whenever people don't just use him as, like, a thug with, like, blasters that come out of his hands, you know, like, he can be really well written, and this was definitely well written. Yeah, I think the story definitely holds up right next to the art in this.
Totally does. Which, you know, I was honestly, not prepared for it to be that good.
No. Yeah, slogging is exactly what I was prepared for. Because my friend Jeremy loaned me this, and I know he's a big Mignola fan, but I don't know anyone on the planet that I would call a big Roger Stern fan. So I was like, okay, you know, he likes Mignola, you know, okay, sweet, I'll read it. And was not expecting to like the story.
Right. You know, are we just dicks for assuming that it would have been terrible?
Well, I mean, we've read a lot of, like that Hulk thing.
Right.
Like, I remembered that as being awesome.
Right.
And that story was, I mean, it was like a Howard the Duck annual. Like nothing wrong with Howard the Duck annuals, but I mean, this was like a frickin' Marvel graphic novel, no ads, like no, you know, comics code, like, you know, it was supposed to be awesome.
Right,
you know?
It's supposed to, you know, push the boundaries of what you could do in a Marvel comic.
Exactly, and the art was freaking stellar. Bernie Wrightson, and it was like painted colors, and it was amazing. But then we reread it, and I was so disappointed. I was like pissed off at Jim Starlin at that point.
I think I remember that I somewhat enjoyed it, but, you know, it definitely had its problems.
Right.
It was hard to read in places, but I didn't have any of those problems with this book.
Yeah, not at all.
Like, I was engaged through all of it, you know, and like when you gave it to me last Sunday, you know, like, I expected it's only like 96 pages maybe.
Right.
You know, I expected it to take all week to read.
Yeah.
And I was done with it by like Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I read this in the car, or like most of it in the car while waiting for our Godfather's Pizza.
Right.
Because I was like, I'll read some of this, and then, you know, like maybe I'll give it to Eric tomorrow or something. But I was done with it, and I was like, wow.
So I wanted to point something out about the art that I had noticed on my second flip through of this book.
Oh,
yeah. I noticed that the entire first section of the book, in which it's Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, like the whole contest at the very beginning to Doom and Strange working with each other to open a portal to hell, including the flashbacks to Doom's origins. It's all told within the confines of the normal sized comic page. Even though the book itself is a slightly bigger size,
okay.
the pages are all confined, and there's a white border around all the panels. Except for in flashbacks, there's some black borders in some of the inner panels, but there's always a confining white border.
Okay.
Then they go to hell, and it all breaks loose. There's now full bleed pages. All the panel borders are black. The panels all sort of just change shapes here and there.
Yeah, they do. I did not notice that. That's amazing.
And then when they go back to Earth, back to the normal-sized pages with the white borders.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right?
I didn't pick up on that. Impressive. That's really cool.
So, even back in 1989, fucking Mike Mignola was a goddamn genius.
Yeah, that's great. That's really cool. Huh. Well, you know what might be even more impressive about this book than that? Is the fact that Doctor Strange's house never gets broken into in this book.
That's hilarious.
I think it's the first time I've ever seen that happen. Or not happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because there's a new Defenders series currently being published by Matt Fraction and
Dobson's. Or...
Yeah, I think they're doing the main story arcs, but they did the first 3 issues, and then the next couple issues are all focused on the individual members.
Oh, okay.
And so issue 4 was about Doctor Strange himself. Someone breaks into his house.
Of course. The guy really needs to get a better security system. And I was disappointed that there wasn't a scene when Doctor Doom showed up to the contest where they didn't go, Doctor?
Right.
And that really kind of
bummed you out.
Yeah, bummed me out.
Yeah. Well, they spent apparently 6 weeks with each other training to go to hell, so I'm sure there was plenty of times where they just said
they had to have watched Spies Like Us once during that 6 weeks. Yeah. Wong brought it in. He just got the VHS tape. The VTR tape or whatever they called them back then.
VHS.
No. Yeah. Well, that movie, that Greg Kinnear, Hogan's Heroes movie, Willem Dafoe calls them VTRs, videotape recorders, the whole movie, which I thought was adorable because it was Willem Dafoe.
Right.
He's adorable anyway.
Yeah.
Have you seen him in Life Aquatic with that little hat? Oh, and the shorts.
It was pretty goddamn adorable.
Yeah, I know, right? You just want to get him and take him home.
Yeah.
Curl up with him. Watch a, a Peanuts Christmas special or something. Eat some popcorn.
It may be my favorite of his roles ever.
Yeah.
I think so.
Was it Klaus? Is his name?
Klaus.
Yeah. I think he would make an awesome Doctor Strange. I could see him.
I don't know. I couldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
Just dye his hair.
Yeah.
He's got the right age,
Yeah, he's about the right age. But, because I imagine Doctor Strange is in his 50s, maybe.
Yeah. Like late 50s, probably.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in an ideal world, Vincent Price would have played Doctor Strange.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe in the early 80s or something. Something like that.
No, 70s maybe, 60s.
Yeah.
But, alas.
Yeah.
Although I know that Jeffrey Combs sort of played him.
Did he?
Yeah.
On the old Doctor Strange movie?
No. In the mid-'80s, there was a movie, I believe it was called Dr. Druid or something like that. Or, I can't remember the exact title, but it was originally supposed to be a Doctor Strange movie that Marvel said, no way. So they just changed the names.
Oh, wow.
And released it straight to VHS.
Because we did have a Doctor Strange movie.
I know that one.
Is that good?
I have seen it back in like the early 90s when it was once on TV, like on a Saturday afternoon. It is not good.
Yeah, I would not imagine it would be.
No, it is. It is like a Pink Floyd video.
Okay, well.
Bell bottoms and afros and porn stashes.
Now that does sound good.
Yeah. It does have the mom from Arrested Development in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. She plays Wong?
No, she plays the villain.
No.
Yeah.
Is Wong in that whole thing?
I cannot recall.
That's curious.
Yeah.
So yeah, should we talk about the story at all? Like what they do?
I don't know. I mean, the beginning part is like some magical beings decide to hold a contest to determine which master of the mystic arts will be labeled as the Sorcerer Supreme. And of course it's Doctor Strange.
Duh.
Right.
Yeah, he's Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
That's what he's known as.
I'm guessing maybe this was the book that established that.
That's possible, yeah.
But then, as a result of him winning the contest, he is supposed to grant a wish to the only other person who managed to not be defeated by the contest, which is Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Who decides that he and Doctor Strange are going to travel to Hell to rescue his mother's soul from Mephisto. And that's the story.
Yeah. And you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, because you totally expect him to be like, I want to rule
right. Or
all
at least
of the world. Or
kill the accursed Richards.
Yeah. So that's pretty big of him.
Yeah.
And like, at first I was like, this is some ploy. He's just trying to, like, get Doctor Strange to get stuck in hell or something. But no, I mean, yeah, he really wants to save his mom's soul.
And there's twists and turns when they get to Hell, but, it all works out, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the best way.
But do you think it was the way Doctor Doom planned? Because, there's Boris has a little conjecture there about, he's like, maybe that's how he planned this to all work out. Maybe he planned on beating the devil at his own game, that sort of thing, but...
He's diabolical, that Doctor Doom.
He's a genius.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really solid, good comic.
Right.
And, you don't need to have read hundreds of Doctor Strange comics beforehand. You never need to have read a Fantastic Four book.
I'd say if you've never even heard of either one of these characters, you could follow this story because, like you said, there's basically an origin for both of them somewhere in the book. You know.
This may be one of the best Marvel graphic novels I've read. I know they did like 40 of them or something like that, and I've only read like just a handful, but this is up there. This may be even better than God Loves, Man Kills.
Ooh, wow. Yeah. I think I've only read maybe a half dozen of them. I remember really liking the Daredevil one.
Right.
The Kingpin thing.
Love and War.
Yeah, Love and War. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I think so.
Miller and Sinkovich.
But it's been, geez, at least 10, 15 years since I've read it.
Right.
So I don't remember it too clearly. But yeah, this might even top that one, which is saying a lot because, I mean, that's Miller. That's primetime Miller.
That is prime Miller before he went absolute batshit.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I wonder what Roger Stern is doing nowadays.
I don't know. Seems like Marvel would have to still let him write something, right?
You'd think, right? Maybe he was Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of upsetting when you think about it too much.
Oh.
That, there's a ton of old guys out there who probably are still very good at what they do.
Right.
They're just not getting the opportunities for, dickbags like Mark Waid or Ed Brubaker.
Right. Maybe he's still writing, just not for Marvel.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, like, Jerry Conway is, like, writes for, like, Law and Order or whatever. Yeah.
Is it the guy that was Dorf the golfer?
No, that is Tim Conway.
Tim Conway, okay.
The far superior Conway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like some Jerry Conway, but,
he's no Dorf.
he is no door. Yeah.
I saw actually a making of Dorf. He actually had his legs in the ground. It wasn't that he was actually that short. Kind of ruined the magic of Dorf. Sorry.
Tim Conway deserves respect.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I feel bad for him that apparently he is always going to be remembered as Dorf.
No way.
But-
no way. He's been in so much great stuff. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't he even in wasn't there like a cartoon version of him in Scooby-Doo at one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like,
He was a regular on the Carol Burnett show,
Yeah, him
where he
and-
was awesome.
yeah.
He started out in Cleveland, doing stuff in there, and he was part of the horror host scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Tim Conway was?
Tim Conway. Yep.
Wow.
I can't remember the big Cleveland horror host. I'm sure Brassfield could tell us if he was here.
Yeah.
Ghoulardi, maybe?
Huh. I don't know.
Svengoolie.
Svengoolie?
I think it's a Ghoulardi.
Ghoulardi?
I think it's Ghoulardi, yeah. He
Yeah.
wasn't Ghoulardi, but he was like,
His henchman or something?
he was like the writer of the
Okay.
shows and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. When we were kids, we watched the Carol Burnett show all the time.
Yeah.
Like, my aunt was even always doing Carol Burnett impressions.
Right.
Which, looking back, it might not have been so funny, but when we were kids, we thought it was.
Right.
But yeah, I loved Tim Conway when I was a kid.
Alright.
Maybe he could play Doctor Strange in the movie.
Probably not.
No. Doctor Doom?
Maybe.
Closer to that.
Yeah.
Or Wong.
Long.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think he's passed away, though.
yeah. Do you remember, years ago, maybe even 10 years by now, when Marvel tried to restart Epic Comics? And, like, the whole thing was, like, open submissions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My partner and I, at the time, put together a pitch for our version of Moon Knight, which had very little to do with, the actual Marvel version of the Moon Knight. But we had a supporting character in it who, we said is basically Tim Conway.
Yeah.
He was just, kind of a kindly, short, balding, elderly man, with a sense of humor and kind of funny, but he was an angel. And he was always stealing from Moon Knight.
Right.
Yeah.
Were they somehow partners, though, or anything?
No.
Okay.
He just sort of represented the side of good, where our character, our version of the Moon Knight,
Right.
was a guy who was a loser, and he died while he was in Egypt, and he was resurrected by the Egyptian gods, who decided that they've had enough of all the bullshit that's been happening on the planet for forever, that they needed to wipe it clean and start over with them in charge. And so they resurrected this guy to be their minion to destroy the world, basically.
Oh, wow.
And this Tim Conway character shows up, and he represents, the side of good, saying that, you can, you don't have to destroy the world, you can actually use your powers to save the world. But the whole thing was that, the evil gods were always just giving and giving and giving. Like, they brought him back to life, they made him not a loser, they, healed him completely. Like he was crippled before he died.
Okay.
You know, and they were always just giving him everything that he ever wanted, and the side of good was always taking, and they would go out for a drink and stick him with the bill. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah. Marvel graphic novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rejected us.
No. Whatever happened to the Epic line?
Failed.
Yeah.
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 I think they put out a book, and that was it.
I think Marvel did a lot better with a few years ago. They did a lot of foreign books like Skydoll and Soleil, or however you pronounce it. I don't know. But yeah, like that seemed to even do better than I guess the Epic thing did.
Yeah.
That was too bad.
Yeah. I think the only thing they actually ever put out through Epic was Trouble. The
Mark Millar thing?
Yeah.
Didn't it just have like photos of hot girls all over it? And,
hot underage girls,
yeah.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
In bikinis. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was about Aunt May and Mary Parker, when they were young, dumb sluts.
Really? That's what it was?
That was pretty much all it was. Yeah.
Huh. Who drew that?
Terry Dodson.
Okay.
I never read it.
Yeah,
I had no desire
I
to.
never even looked inside of it.
I didn't feel like buying a comic that would have me labeled a pedophile.
Yeah. Well, we might still have some.
I'm sure you did.
I'll put them in brown bags and bring them over. We can devour them. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Some Marvel graphic novel.
Oh, graphic novels.
How much did these things sell for back then? $10.
$10.
Yeah, wow.
That's comparable, I think, to today still. So back then it was probably even like way more expensive.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I looked to see, like after I read this, I looked at Diamond just to see if maybe there was a
reprints.
Yeah, just because it was Magnolia, I thought they might have, but no, it's not in print. Apparently it does go for a decent amount on like Amazon and eBay. So, so if you want to read it, you might have to spend a little cash for it, but it was really good though.
Yeah, I think I said this before on the when we did the Hulk thing, that the Marvel graphic novel line I think needs to make a comeback.
Yeah,
I think even DC needs to do something too, because I think it's a format that's right for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of course, I mean, if they did do it, it would probably just all be Spider-Man, Avengers, and X-Men.
Yeah, maybe they'd beat that Deadpool horse one more time.
Right,
but, that's almost over too.
Right. Yeah, and DC would probably only do Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I think it's a perfect format for someone like the Doctor Strange character.
Dazzler. And they tried a lot of kind of second and third tier characters back then. That's awesome that they. And it's a really neat format. It's almost like the vinyl version of a Marvel comic, because it's like a little taller. And
I think it's probably supposed to be comparable to like the European comics,
right?
French comics,
the albums as they call them. Yeah, because Marvel is doing something. I forget what they're calling them. Those hardcovers that are like they're just released as a hardcover. It's not a collection of issues. But there was an X-Men one that came out last week. I forget what they're calling them, but they're just comic size. They're not taller or wider, but they're like a hardcover and they're kind of thick.
But they're not. Is it a reprint or is it something new?
Yeah, it's all new material. Yeah, I forget.
First I've heard of this.
Yeah, I think the very first one was out last week. But,
really?
Yeah. Because we ordered like 3 of them just because nobody special ordered it or anything, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to do well, and I think we sold 1 of them.
Seriously, I'm on the internet.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the first time that I'd heard Marvel was doing anything like that.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, we might look it up on break, because I think that might be, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think it's all new material.
Huh. I am flabbergasted. Alright, so do we want to take a break then?
Yeah.
I think we're good on this.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. Track down a used copy somewhere.
Yeah. Triumph and Torment.
Yes.
Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom.
Excellent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we'll be back.
back to Gutter Trash.
Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy.
So you did some research and figured out what I was talking about.
Yeah. It's the Marvel Season 1 line of graphic novels, which is just retelling origins of characters whose origins you already know.
Yeah.
If you have ever read a Marvel comic, you know the origins of Spider-Man, of the Fantastic Four, of possibly Daredevil, and the X-Men have no origin because they were born that way.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, no one. I mean, maybe there are some people that are like, I've never even read a comic.
Right.
I might just check this out. But chances are, if they're that far interested in comics enough to even walk in a comic shop, one of their friends has already told them Spider-Man's origin. You know?
Right. Yeah. And I think, I'm trying to remember when I first started really getting into comics. I was a kid as well, so origin stories interested me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I never really sought them out. Because I knew that eventually, if I kept buying a comic long enough, that eventually they were just going to retell the origin at some point.
Right, you learn that pretty quick.
Yeah.
With Marvel and DC. Especially Marvel.
Yeah. So at least back in that old school style of storytelling that we were saying derogatory things about half an hour ago.
Yeah. We were never derogatory. We were pointing out facts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think that works for a certain age group and a certain time. Comics were definitely written for much younger audiences than now. Decades younger.
Right.
Now they're written for dudes our age.
Right. Which, I don't know, it's good and bad, I guess. Yeah. Because, I don't know what I'm trying to say there.
Well, it's like scary because, such a small portion of the market is, even written towards teenagers. It's mostly, much older that it's being written towards, but I guess they kind of have to because all the people that loved it in the 70s and 80s are now in their 30s and 40s.
Right.
And
they're the only ones still buying.
Yeah. There are some younger kids that come in and they don't, some of them buy the little kids comics and some of them buy just regular Avengers comics, but it's a tiny portion or percentage of our comic sales.
I would say, though, that, I can remember reading comics that were, they weren't gratuitous or anything like that, but they certainly weren't, I think they were definitely aiming for as wide an audience as possible. So, there wasn't fist fucking going on or anything like that. But, it also wasn't, written for, retarded children.
Right.
It
was somewhere between Kool-Aid Man comics and Howard Chaykin's Black Kiss.
Right, yeah. And, dark things happened, and I was 10 years old when I read the Dark Phoenix saga.
Yeah.
Fucking Jean Grey destroys a planet and then kills herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah, and that was back in 1982 when that was written or whatever. So, the whole comics are for kids thing has never exactly been true. But I definitely think that they were a lot more accessible than they are now.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, not to sound like a curmudgeon where you're like, oh, kids today, but there are tons of things that, compete with the attention of kids and,
right.
Obviously if we had the internet and everything when we were kids, I don't know that I would have been as into comics. I'm sure I would have thought the characters were awesome, but I might have just played the video games and watched the movies and, played the MMO and, all that stuff.
Well, as a 33-year-old man, I'm, distracted by the internet, and I'd rather watch it. I would much rather watch the Avengers movie than read an Avengers comic.
Me too. Me too. Well, unless the right combination of people were doing it, but most likely I'd rather watch the movie.
But that, I think, is more of that comes from our sort of, I hate to use this word, but sophisticated.
Yeah, that's us. We got sophistication bleeding out our asses. But yeah, I mean, if like Dan Close announced he was doing an Avengers comic,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I mean, we are in,
Right.
you know, or even I don't know, Simon Bisley, you know,
Right.
but yeah, like,
I think there comes an age where, you know, as a comic fan, you know, if you're still interested in reading superhero comics at all, that, you start following creators more than you follow the characters. But, like, you know, when you're a kid and you're growing up, you're just like, you know, fuck yeah, Spider-Man and Batman.
yeah.
And, you know, you don't care, you don't look, I mean,
Right.
comics just sort of happen.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I didn't even realize Marvel and DC were separate universes when I
Right,
was a
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
I was like waiting on Spider-Man to join the Justice League, and he just never did. You know?
Right, right. But, you know, I mean, you know, like, I would say you are far less into superhero comics than I am. But, you know, you're still a guy who, you know, you're gonna follow a specific person over, you know, like any kind of franchise that they're
Right.
doing or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I could read an X-Men comic, but only if somebody whose work I liked
That you
was
love.
doing it.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? It's funny that you bring this up because Batman is my favorite superhero comic, favorite superhero character,
Right.
and like I'm worried that pretty soon it's possible I'm just gonna swear off reading new superhero comics because first of all I was excited about the Daredevil comic, and I started reading that, and in the second issue of the brand new series where they start over number one, they're already
Right.
referring to like the last couple years that I haven't read, and like that really pissed me off because I was like, you know, the whole reason I started buying this because they started over at number one. I'm like, okay, here's a place I can jump in fresh, and
Right.
there's an artist I like and a writer we both love, and I was like, this would be a good jumping on point, and then
Right.
like it wasn't, it really wasn't.
Yeah, but that was probably the only issue that did that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will also say that was the worst issue so far of that
Yeah.
run. Yeah.
I'll finish it up since, I mean, I bought the first 8 before
Right.
I got around to reading them, and I read the first 2 or 3, and then I just kind of got pissed off and put them down.
Right.
But when I was doing the previews order for March, and every single DC book that has anything to do with a Bat character
Is a crossover.
is a crossover with like the Owl thing,
Yeah.
and I love that new Batman series. But I am not going to read Nightwing or Batwing or
Yeah.
Batwoman or Batgirl. And if it
Well-
looks like I have to find
Right.
all of the story, I'm done.
I would, well, I'm reading Batgirl and Batwoman because I think they're good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure that
Yeah.
I'm sure there are good titles
Right,
that are
right.
crossing over, but I don't want to read more than one Bat book.
That's fine. But, you know, I'm going to say that if those books weren't good, I wouldn't be reading them. And I would almost be in your same position. Except for the fact that if I do like that Batman comic, which I do,
Yeah.
you know, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
It's
you know,
really
doing
good.
Some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Never in a million years did I think I would become a fan of Greg Capullo.
Right.
But yeah, like a giant crossover like that happens, then either for the length of that crossover, I'm not buying any of those books, or I'm just going to continue to buy the one book that I'm getting,
Right.
and just, you know, if I miss something, fuck it. Because, fuck crossovers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But see, the thing is, though, like, the first option there of skipping the crossover, like,
Right.
it looks like it's a continuation of the current storyline.
Right.
Like, that's been going on in all 6 issues.
Right.
And, like, that pisses me off, because, I mean, I get that they're trying to sell books, and, you know, they're like, hey, maybe we'll cross them over, and somebody will find another book they like, but...
Right. But, you know, at the same time, this is something that's been going on for 30 years in comics.
Yeah.
So this isn't anything new.
It's not, but I just thought, like,
It's frustrating.
there's
you
a
know,
part of me
yeah.
that was like, they're starting over, maybe, you know, I can just read Batman, and, like, you know, I mean, I guess in my mind, like, I knew eventually I had to cross over, but I mean,
Right.
when I was making out the preview order, it wasn't like 2 titles, it was like 8 other titles.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that bugs me.
Right.
It really bugs me.
One can only hope that, you know, it's one of those things where, you know,
You can read the main story.
right, and like all those other books are just sort of, you know, ancillary to,
Right.
that book, It's like you could learn other things, but it's not entirely important to
Right.
read a Nightwing to figure out what's happening,
Yeah, because, I read Civil War, and I didn't read all the crossovers. I think I read a couple issues of Thunderbolts and something else because I thought they looked interesting.
Right.
But, you could just read the main book on that, but at the same time...
There were things, I think, that happened in some of those crossover books that were referred to in the main series.
See, that's how they get you. It's not like... You can read those 7 issues of Civil War and you can understand the story,
Right.
but there's just going to be these little pinpricks where they're like, oh, well, no, he's not here because, he's got that whole situation over in Memphis. And you're
Right.
like, what the fuck's going on in Memphis? Oh, I guess I have to read 4 other books.
Right. But again, that's something that they've been doing since, Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Right. Yeah.
So it's not new, it's just a pain in the ass.
Right.
And it's I think, one of the, back when it was Crisis on Infinite Earths, that was like one of the first times that ever happened.
Yeah.
And I think we even talked about this when we did the Secret Wars, was that, that book lasted 12 issues, but there were no crossovers because, in the issue that coincided with the first issue of Secret Wars, the next issue, Secret Wars is over. And
Because
so,
time ran differently for
or
them.
whatever,
Yeah.
and we pointed out, the black costume for Spider-Man, didn't happen until Secret Wars number 8. But, that second issue of, Secret Wars, that coinciding issue of Spider-Man, he was back on Earth with the black costume.
Yeah. And they were just like, it was like, well, that was a crazy adventure.
Right, yeah.
That was it, yeah.
And, we want to know how he got his fancy new duds, read Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And that's a thing, and...
I think it's just something, you have to accept if you're going to read Marvel or DC, or, to an extent some of the other companies, but...
But at that point, when that happened, though, initially, it wasn't happening 6 times a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially with Marvel, there is no lull between events now.
Nope. There.
It's not just the summer event anymore, it's
just always an event.
Yeah.
Which at some point is fucking boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was excited about, the book Daredevil. I was like, this looks like something completely separate and just like a fun Daredevil story. And like I said, I'll give it a shot. I'll read the rest of them, but it really did piss me off as soon as I got 2 issues in and they're already referring to, other books that I haven't read, and I'm like,
I think, with that, I think you're kind of leaning on that too hard. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this as someone who thought that was probably one of the worst comics I've ever read. Issue number 2 of Daredevil.
Just that single issue.
Just that single issue. Mm-hmm. But the things that you're referring to, I think, it was a fresh start for Daredevil, new number 1, brand new series, new creative team, but it was coming off of, this crossover in which, there were major things that happened.
Right.
There is going to be some touching back to what it was.
Right.
But, I thought it was minimal. They just sort of, and I'm a Daredevil fan, so I sort of knew what was going on anyway.
Yeah.
Even though I did what I just said about the Batman thing. I skipped that entire crossover.
Like Secret Invasion and all that stuff?
No, it was Shadowland.
Oh, okay.
The Daredevil thing
Yeah.
that was that was being referred to in that issue. Was basically him becoming evil and the leader of the Hand. The instant that crossover started, I stopped reading and didn't pick it back up until issue number 1.
Right.
Because fuck a crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has only been that sort of minimal touchstone on, just to sort of give you, this is where Daredevil has been recently, and this is why he is currently doing the things he's doing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the 3rd issue a try. At least the first major story arc, and then see what you think. As I told my friend Joe the other day, that it's one of those books that I'm gonna drop instantly if there's more than 2 bad issues in a row.
Right.
And so far, there's only been the 1 bad issue. So
well, that's cool. I I love the artwork. Like,
Oh yeah.
I love Marcus Martin. I mean, I know you do too. We both do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would almost just keep buying it, even if I didn't think I was going to read it.
Right.
As long as him, or even Paulo Rivera, because he's awesome too.
Yeah, well, Marcos Martin is gone as of, like, issue 6 or 7.
Well, maybe I will stop reading.
And there's, like, 17 fill-in artists in the next few issues after that. And
So he's not coming back? It's
he
just,
is not coming back. I think he's doing a creator-owned book, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'll definitely read it. Maybe I'll just read the ones I have and maybe skip the rest.
It's fine. Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. Chris Somney is awesome. He's taking over the book.
What's he done?
He's done some little bits here and there. I think he's done a couple issues of Ultimate Spider-Man. He did the Captain America and Bucky series that was short-lived, which I think is just becoming the Captain America team-up book.
Yeah, it's like Captain America and Hawkeye next or something.
Yeah, but then like there's like 2 issues of that, and then after that it's Captain America and Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just Captain America and...
It's like Marvel team up, only Cap. Okay.
Right. Which is cool, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, might as well.
Not anything I'm going to read, but, yeah.
Unless...
More power to him.
Unless there's like a Captain America and Rocket Raccoon team up, Mike Mignola draws it.
If Mike Mignola draws that, then fuck yeah, I'm on board.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Comic talk.
Yay!
Yeah.
I like talking about comics.
Me too.
Have you read any other comics this week?
Yes.
Yeah. Anything good?
Yeah. I'm reading a series that was pre-New 52, miniseries called Batman: The Gates of Gotham.
That's Scott Snyder, right?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Enjoyable. A little long. It's 5 issues. So far, they've condensed a couple of the issues there.
Yeah.
But it's the last, I think the last big hoorah for Dick Grayson as Batman.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read that. Yeah, like Scott Snyder is a name I don't think I'd even noticed before the new Batman series.
Right.
And after I read it, I was like, wow, this is great. And I kind of started I didn't research him at all, but every time I saw his name, I was like, ooh, he did that too.
Yeah.
And I guess he's done a few things.
He was working on Detective Comics before the big DC relaunch. I think he did a couple story arcs with Jock and a story arc with Francesco Francavilla. That were all pretty fairly acclaimed. Mm-hmm. And I read a couple of the issues. I have all of them. I just haven't gotten around to reading all of them yet. Like I read the first 2 and I was like, wow, this is incredibly good. You know, not just art-wise, you know, like it was really good.
Solid.
So,
yeah.
I was just sort of like, you know, and then when they announced he was doing Batman as part of the relaunch, I was like, I'll definitely check that out. Even if it's fucking Greg Capullo, that loser. That Todd McFarlane whore.
That you would never like in a million years.
Never.
But yeah.
He's fucking great.
It's so good.
He's great.
You know, I really liked what he was doing on Haunt, too. But,
yeah.
It's slightly
that was
different.
more Ryan Otley, I think, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's so many cooks in that kitchen anyway.
Right.
Like, McFarlane was at least credited as an inker at some point.
Right. I think it was, what was it? It was,
like somebody did breakdown, somebody penciled it, and McFarlane inked it or something.
I think so, yeah. I think Ryan Otley... I think Capullo did breakdowns, Ryan Otley did pencils.
Oh, okay, so it was.
McFarlane inked it. And McFarlane and Kirkman wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really... I read the first 5 issues. It was like the first storyline, and... Yeah, it just didn't really reel me in.
I know I bought multiple issues, I just don't remember where I stopped.
Did you read them?
I read the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it started out promising, so
Right.
I read the next 4, but yeah, nothing great.
I'll probably figure out how many I have and read them. Figure out if it's worth tracking down the issues I missed. I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know.
There's so many good things to read.
Yeah, I got like 6 stacks of comics next to my bed that I'm going through.
Me too. I got so much books to read. So many books. I mean, and I don't mean to make that sound like, like, oh my god, I got all this. I mean, like, it's awesome because there's all this stuff I want to read, but it's like, how do you make the time to do all that?
Right. Yeah, I'm in the middle of still reading 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back and forth between and not finishing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
As us idiots do.
Yeah. We are dumb.
I got a book from the library that I'm not going to have finished by the time it's due, but it's really good. Bang your head.
You can always recheck it out.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not on reserve.
Nah.
Nobody wants to read about metal.
Nope. Not in Dayton.
I'm up to the point of early Metallica right now, and it's pretty fun because I mean, it's like James Hetfield and Lars. They basically met each other through some sort of kind of trading post for musicians,
right?
And they both found each other, and then
it was love at first
sight.
It
was, yeah. But it was funny because basically Lars knew a guy that was putting out a compilation record, and he was like, "Yeah, if you're in a band, I'll put your your song on there." And he played the drums, but he wasn't on a band, so he put something together immediately, and they just hit the lights and threw it on the record, just so they could have something out, and they didn't really even he was one of those guys I'd love to be in a band, but he just never really had the impetus to do it. But because of that, it was Metal Massacre or something was the record, and
you realize that as a giant Metallica nerd,
you know all that.
I know.
Yeah. I had never heard that story though. I thought it was really neat. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah. I always wanted to be in a band, but nobody wants to be in a band with me.
Aww. If I had all my guitar equipment still, we would do it.
Yeah. You've said that before.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I have a guitar and I have a bass.
Yeah.
Could do something, but
you have amps. I
have an amp.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a great amp. It's not a great guitar. That thing's old. It's almost 15 years old by now.
I'll tell you what. Maybe next weekend we'll take this podcast down to the pawn shop and see if we can trade it in for a couple amps.
Done.
All right.
Last episode, folks.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
It's for a good reason. It's a good cause. We'll be rocking out.
Yeah. I'm not going to be in a band. I want to be in a band, but I know it's just unrealistic.
It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
We'd be standing up right now and moving around.
Fuck that.
I know, right?
Fuck that. I'm winded from doing this.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't have anything going on in my life, do you?
Nothing too exciting. Just work and whatnot.
Just want to call this quits.
Sure. I get to pick a movie, eh?
You do.
Okay, cool. Let's watch Harry Brown.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
I've been wanting to see it for a while.
As have I.
Yeah. Cool. Harry Brown,
indeed.
I think I'm actually off next Sunday, so we don't have to do a super late night thing.
Sweet.
Although we can. I don't care. Whatever. Whenever.
I'd prefer not to.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a sleepy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not late night. How about whenever the sun goes down, though? That way it's nice and cool.
Yeah. It is, too hot already.
What'd you say it was today? 80?
83.
Wow. Isn't that the year that the first Metallica record came out?
Yes, it was.
And Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, fuck
Bad
it.
issue.
Fuck 83 degree weather. It is still fucking winter. It may not be by the time this actually goes up.
Yeah. But as of right now,
it is still goddamn winter.
Oh yeah, that's my girlfriend. I'm sure she's as pissed off as anyone about this whole Mother Nature affair.
Listen, I'm no fan of what winter entails. I like cold weather. I just don't like the snow and all the other bullshit that goes with it.
Right.
I like it to remain chilly, though. Chilly but dry. And you know what? I declared victory over winter.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I beat winter this year.
Yeah. The summer's kicking your ass already.
Yeah. I never got stuck in the traffic for, any length of time.
Right.
Did not, at any point, throughout this past winter, did it not take me 5 hours to get home.
Or an hour to scrape your car off.
Right. Yeah. Or have like a rubber mallet to try to beat the ice off of my car.
Right.
Never happened. And I am calling that victory. But yeah, summer is apparently already ready to take its revenge on me.
Oh, it was bound to happen sooner or later.
It wouldn't be so bad if, in my office, we would learn to use the air conditioner properly.
What's not proper about it?
If it's only 60 degrees out, my boss will turn on the heating.
Oh. Is he 90 years old?
No.
Because today, you know how hot it was today.
Yeah.
I heard it was like 83.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, I was at work, and, normally Jack does not leave any later than 1.
Right.
Usually more like 11:30 or 12.
Right.
But today, this guy brought in a sports card collection from the 50s, and it was like Mickey Mantle's and Roger Maris and Lou Brock and all these old players. And so he stayed there to go through the whole thing, and he was there till almost 4 o'clock.
Wow.
And not only did he never turn the air on, but he hates the idea of propping our door open. And he was wearing pants and a long sleeve shirt.
Right. He's usually in a sweater whenever I see him.
Yeah.
Even in the summer.
Yeah. It was hot in there.
Yeah.
Like, people were fanning themselves, and I think one family passed out.
And it was Magical Monday.
It was
so I could not imagine
the smell.
Yeah. Just ball rot and sadness.
Oh. Mostly the both of those. But yeah, as soon as he left, we just propped the door open. We didn't turn the air on or anything, but...
I would have turned it on for like an hour.
Yeah.
Just to cool it, just to normalize it.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy. It was really warm in there.
Yeah, this is, I'm declaring this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Alright, Harry Brown, excited, looking forward to it. I've been, wanted to see that since it was at the Neon.
Me too. I was eyeing it at the library the other day.
Library.
And on the DVD, and I was like, that's probably the next thing I should watch.
Sure.
I believe you have a copy, or?
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay. Well, we'll find one.
But I can, get it from Netflix.
Sweet.
Hopefully I can watch a movie in the next day or so to get it by Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If not, you may need to run to the library.
Watch their scratched up copy.
Right, yeah.
That's cool. Well, it is on their quick view section, so I couldn't rent it any time before Thursday.
Okay, alright.
So
we'll bear that in mind, then.
Yeah.
I'll try to watch a movie tomorrow.
Sweet.
Alright, then. Maybe I'll watch one tonight.
Ooh.
No, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. I think I am too.
Yeah. Alright then. Take it easy.
Good night, everybody.
You can subscribe to Gutter Trash at iTunes or directly at guttertrash.net. If you go to iTunes, please leave us a review. You can email us at eric@guttertrash.net or jason@guttertrash.net. For more info, you can find us on Facebook. Or you can go to seanborn.net or buyerbeware.guttertrash.net. Listen to our sister podcast, League Night, at league.guttertrash.net. Thank you for listening. Until next time.